guys? I just want real quick. I got some comments recently from a couple people. Let me turn this down a little bit. I wouldn't know how to say this other than maybe Pickmaker, PKMKR. He just commented on what video was this? Oh, I have no idea. I'm not sure which one it was. Well, he commented he liked the video. And he wanted to know, well, this is what he said. What if you want to add, say, for example, reverb to the vocal or your monitors, but not to other instruments or channels on the monitor? Would you have to use another aux for the other channels to send it to the monitor? In that case, maybe you would have to use another EQ unit as well. Alright, well, and he also wanted to know, do they use different monitors for different instruments, using separate auxes? If so, can you explain a little? Okay. And one last thing, how do you send a mix to microphone on stage for the drummer or vocal or whatever? And you wanted me to do a video on that. So, alright, we'll start off with the reverb to monitor. If I understand your question, you're talking about a stage monitor for a vocalist or a guitarist to hear themselves. You don't really want to add effects to a monitor mix. It can cause, and more than likely will cause, feedback for that vocalist that wants to hear themselves. But if you want to do it, basically all you would do, the way I have my my stage monitors, is comes out of a pre-fade auxiliary send out of a mixer into the EQ here, and you got to ring it out and everything, make sure it's you're not going to get feedback. And then now the way I have it is it goes right to the EQ, from the EQ into the amplifier, out of the amplifier, and through the speakers, out of the speakers, whatever. But if you want to add effects, what you can do is up here I have a Lexicon dual channel effects processor, and what you can do is out of the aux pre-fade auxiliary to the input of your reverb, out of your reverb into the EQ, out of the EQ into the amp, out of the amp to the speaker. So that's how you would do that. And the second question was, do they use different monitors for different instruments? Well, yes, they do. If you're a vocalist, you just want to hear yourself, then that would be one mix. A drummer usually wants to hear similar to what's going out on in the front of house. A guitarist might want to just hear themselves. Another guitarist might just want to hear themselves. And the lead vocalist, every different mix you have is a different auxiliary set. And you do the same thing for the headphones. Instead of it going to an amplifier and through a speaker, it goes from the auxiliary send, possibly to an EQ. Most of those units, the performer sets it up themselves, like what they want to hear, how they want to hear it. And it goes to a pair of headphones. That's really the only difference. I guess that's it. I guess just, look at my other videos, and not just my videos, but other people's videos of how to do this stuff, and you can learn a lot. People may do it differently than I do. That's just the way I do it. So I hope that answers your question. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to let me know. That was, again, for, I'm guessing, Pickmaker. I don't know, PKMKR. Okay. So I hope that answers your question. Now I have another person that he does sound for a church. And his user is NAOSEITUTU. I wouldn't know how to pronounce that, so I'm not even going to try. I don't want to offend anybody if that's, I don't know. And he wanted me to go A to Z to a sound mixer. He wants me to talk about subgroups, which is a good question. I don't think I really talked about that too much in other videos. And on some of his other on some of the videos on his channel, it was a service at a church, and the audio, it was clipping and it was distorted on the video. So he wanted me to talk about how to do that. So first off, let's talk about the sound issue on the video. Without really knowing what kind of camera you're using, without me knowing what kind of equipment you have, it's really hard for me to answer that question. But it really depends on what you have available to you. What I would recommend is to when the audio that's going through your mixer, if you can separate that somehow, because it sounds like it's too hot, and what I mean by that is it's just too much of a signal. You have to kind of back it off a little bit. So that could be gain structure, that could be the output, it could be a lot of different things. But if the audio going through your mixer sounds good, then it's not a problem with your microphones, or it's not a problem with the output. It would be a problem with the input and how the sound is going into the camera and eventually onto the tape or onto whatever the media is that's in your camera. So I guess to answer your question, you can either separate the audio when you post the video and just put the video on there, sync it up with the audio, and you'll get a much better, clearer sound. That is if you're getting good sound out of your mixer. So first, check all of that first. Make sure you're getting a good quality sound from your mixer before you go any further. If not, fix that, and then that might solve the problem. Now, if it's just an issue with the microphone on the camera, well, you might need to position the camera somewhere else. Maybe put something in front of the microphone to try and block some of the sound. Maybe the sound coming off of the stage, the way it's bouncing around and it's hitting the microphone of the camera, maybe it's just too loud and that's distorting the sound. So I'm not really sure what the problem is. Definitely try that, and feel free to get back to me and let me know what you found out, and I'll be more than happy to talk you through it and see if I can figure it out for you. Now, the other question that he had, I mean, as far as going A to Z through the mixer, I mean, I know you watched a couple of the other videos that I did, so watch those again maybe. That kind of was my A to Z. And definitely don't just watch mine, watch some other people's as well. But the subgroups, that is a good question. Each channel, you want to assign a subgroup to it. So if you have a lead vocal, you have a guitarist and a bassist that also sing. Well, that's your vocals. So what you can do is to all those channels, let me back up a little bit, let's just say channel 1, channel 2, and channel 3. So you have lead vocal, you have your guitarist, and your bassist. And you want to assign those all to group 1 and 2. Right? So over here, 1 and 2, this will control just your vocals right here. So instead of you going over here and well, say, okay, maybe the drummer has, he also sings, and you have two backup singers. That makes more sense. Okay. So now you want to assign those all to subgroup 1 and 2. So now if you need to make an adjustment to just your vocals, you can just use 2 channels. Now say you have a drum mix, right? So you have bass drum, snare drum, rack tom, floor tom, overhead. Okay, so now, for whatever reason, maybe there's an acoustic performance going on, and you don't need the drums. So what you can do is you can slowly, fade out of the last song, completely cut it out so that the mics aren't open. Or if, for example, you're in the middle of a song, and for whatever reason the drums go away in the song for a while. It goes to goes from a fast beat to a part of the song that doesn't include drums. You can actually, in your live mix, you can actually pull those drums down and say, okay, we don't want any live mics at the time, at this moment, so we can fade it, just get them out. And then when you know that the drums need to come back in, you have to make sure that you're up to where you started from. You don't want to slowly fade into the drums. That's not going to sound good. Now you will, if the drummer just finishes this big fill and pow, you don't want to completely cut out. You want to fade out if you know the drums are going to stop in the song, in that part of the song. So those are subgroups. So I hope that answers your question. If you had any other questions about subgroups or anything else, please let me know. I want to thank you guys both for commenting and very good comments. And thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. And I guess I guess that's it. So, all right. I just watched the videos back, and I forgot to mention something that PKMKR asked me, that if we needed to use, whether we needed to use another EQ on a monitor mix, and if you have a dual channel EQ, then you don't need another EQ, because you're going to go, your monitor output is going to go to channel 1, and then your second monitor would go to channel 2, and then channel 1 of the mixer would be for channel 1 of the EQ, and channel 2 of the amp would be for channel 2 of the EQ. So, to answer that question. So, and also, I want to thank PKMKR and NAOSEITUTU. I want to thank them both again for watching the vids and sending in the comments and asking the questions and so on. I also wanted to remind everyone about the drum microphone giveaway that I'm doing. You guys have less than a month now to do, well, about a month to send in the video response of why you want it, why you need it, why you think you should have it. Or if you don't have a camera, that's okay. Send me a comment or a personal message of some kind, and let me know what you're going to do with them, why you think you should have them. So that's those there, giving them away. Have your video in and be a subscriber by October 31st. So that's 30 days from now. So, all right. So we will see you guys later. So thanks again for watching. All right. I just watched the video.